Have you ever wondered why some people seem to breeze through relationships with total confidence, while others feel like they're constantly on an emotional roller coaster? Or maybe you've noticed a pattern in your own life. Perhaps you're always the one chasing. Or maybe you're the one who pulls away the moment things get too serious. It's not just bad luck. And it's not just who you are, in a fixed sense. Most of these patterns come down to one of the most significant concepts in modern psychology: attachment theory. Today, we're diving deep into the world of attachment styles. We're going to talk about where they come from, how they dictate your dating life, and most importantly, how you can move from insecurity to a place of peace and stability. Whether you're single, in a long-term relationship, or somewhere in the messy, it's complicated zone, understanding your attachment style is like getting a secret map to your own brain. So, let's get into it. To understand where we are now, we have to look back. Attachment theory was first developed by British psychologist John Bowlby and further expanded by Mary Ainsworth in the 1950s and 60s. They discovered that the way our primary caregivers, usually our parents, responded to our needs as infants created a blueprint for how we perceive intimacy and safety as adults. If your needs were met consistently, you learned that the world is safe. If they weren't, your brain developed survival strategies. These strategies are what we call attachment styles. There are 4 primary attachment styles: secure, anxious preoccupied, dismissive avoidant, and fearful avoidant, which is also known as disorganized. About 50% of the population is secure, while the other 50% falls into one of the 3 insecure categories. Let's break these down so you can identify which one resonates with you. First up is the gold standard: secure attachment. If you have a secure attachment style, you're generally comfortable with intimacy and you don't worry too much about being rejected. When you're in a relationship, you're able to communicate your needs clearly, and you're responsive to your partner's needs too. You don't play games. You don't panic if they don't text back for 3 hours. And you don't feel suffocated when they want to spend time with you. You view yourself as worthy of love and others as generally reliable. It sounds like a dream, right? But for the other 50% of us, things are a bit more complicated. Next, let's talk about the anxious preoccupied attachment style. If you're anxious, you crave high levels of intimacy and closeness. You might find yourself constantly worried that your partner doesn't love you as much as you love them, or that they're going to leave you. This often stems from a childhood where caregiving was inconsistent. Sometimes your parents were there. Sometimes they were physically or emotionally absent. As an adult, this translates into hypervigilance. You become an expert at reading body language and tone of voice, looking for any sign of withdrawal. When you feel a threat to the connection, you might protest by calling repeatedly, acting out, or trying to make your partner jealous just to get a reaction. You're not trying to be difficult. Your nervous system is simply screaming for reassurance. Then, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the dismissive avoidant style. If this is you, you likely value your independence above all else. You might view relationships as a threat to your freedom. In childhood, avoidant individuals often had parents who were emotionally cold or rejected their cries for help. You learned early on that relying on others is dangerous or disappointing. So you learn to rely only on yourself. In adulthood, when someone gets too close, you might shut down, pull away, or focus on their flaws to create distance. You might say things like, "I'm just not ready for something serious," or "I need my space." You want connection deep down, but your brain associates it with being trapped or controlled. The fourth and most complex style is fearful avoidant, or disorganized attachment. This is relatively rare and often stems from significant childhood trauma or a chaotic upbringing where the caregiver was a source of both fear and comfort. This creates a fright without solution. As an adult, you desperately want love, but you are also terrified of it. It's the "come here, now go away" dynamic. You might be very intense and vulnerable one day, and then completely ghost the next because the intimacy felt too threatening. It's an exhausting cycle of seeking closeness and then sabotaging it to feel safe again. Now, here is where it gets really interesting for your dating life. The anxious avoidant trap. Have you ever noticed how anxious people and avoidant people seem to be magnetically attracted to each other? It feels like a spark or chemistry. But in reality, it's a collision of wounds. The anxious person's need for closeness triggers the avoidant person's need for space. When the avoidant person pulls away, the anxious person chases harder. This reinforces the avoidant person's belief that others are needy, and it reinforces the anxious person's belief that they are unlovable. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that can keep you stuck in a cycle of highs and lows for years. So, how do we fix this? If you're watching this and realizing you aren't in the secure category, don't panic. Attachment styles are not a life sentence. They are plastic, meaning they can change over time with awareness and effort. This is called earned security. The first step is awareness. You have to name it to tame it. When you feel that urge to send 10 texts in a row or to delete someone's number because they got too close, stop. Acknowledge that this is your attachment style talking, not necessarily the reality of the situation. If you're anxious, work on self-soothing. Learn to regulate your nervous system through breathing, journaling, or hobbies so you don't rely solely on your partner for emotional stability. If you're avoidant, practice leaning in. Start small. Share one vulnerable thing about your day or stay in the room for 5 more minutes when you feel the urge to run. If you're dating, look for secure partners. They might feel boring at first because they don't provide the high-octane drama you're used to. But that stability is exactly what allows for a healthy, long-term bond. Understanding attachment theory isn't about blaming your parents or labeling your ex. It's about self-compassion. It's about realizing that your behaviors, even the ones you hate, started as a way to keep you safe when you were small. But you're not small anymore. You have the power to rewire your brain and choose the kind of love you deserve. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which style do you think you lean toward? Have you ever been caught in the anxious avoidant trap? Sharing your story not only helps you process it, but it helps this community realize they aren't alone. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of how we live and love. Remember, you are worthy of a love that feels safe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.